I mean, the internet here can get pretty wild. I don't know if you've heard rumors, but Florida's internet is pretty notorious.
I think we've got you beat, Mario. We're one up from dial-up.
Oh my goodness! Don't tell me that.
No, you're perfect. Your audio, visual, there's no lag. Everything's good.
Perfect. Good.
As we connect, we still get the beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Can you get the trill sound?
If you like Nintendo Game Boys, our computers in Australia.
It's pretty bad here in Florida. We're always dealing with programming issues. Now that we do so much programming, internet is crucial nowadays, especially with like DVI, automotive software, programming, the software, the shop management softwares, the service information, everything is internet related. So for any failure on that part, is just bad for everybody. Everybody loses.
Have you had
not just the podcast?
Yeah. Have you had any catastrophic stuff due to the internet, as in like halfway through a programming and gone, or not yet?
Yeah. I've actually had like everything goes perfect on like say a BMW. You're doing everything right, and then for some reason the internet service provider decides, hey, we're gonna cut your cable.
That'll do you,
or whatever it is. Yeah, and it breaks the car, and we had to find other means to bring it back alive, and it sucks. That's just one example. I mean, but there's a lot of cases, like especially with diagrams that are data heavy. It's not just like a very simple page. Some of these service information providers, they're very data heavy, and they're very interactive diagrams and all that. So if your internet is not up to par, I mean, you're going to suffer. Everybody suffers. Your efficiency obviously drops. Nobody talks about that, right? Like, what if your internet drops? What happens to your efficiency there? Like, you're trying to diagnose a car.
Yeah.
You're like one wiring diagram away from getting there, and bam, your internet just drops. Nobody talks about
this. Yeah.
I think this is something
just talking about this. Yeah.
We're gonna suffer with this because I don't know if you've seen or heard, but in Australia we've just we have access to dealer information as right to repair.
I've heard. Congrats. I mean,
1st of July.
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing, but it's going to come with some and
they're gonna fight you tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Well,
every step of the way.
We're going to question you on today, Mario. Actually, what have we got coming?
Yeah. So, like, that's one thing. I think naively, we all sort of thought, oh yeah, great. 1st of July, we're going to have all the power at our fingertips. It's not gone that way.
They'll give you crumbs if they can.
Yeah.
That's how it's always been. That's why right to repair. I won't be pretending to be an expert on that, but from my knowledge, I mean, it's always been a fight. It's always been a battle. You just have to keep going, and they'll fight it. They'll say, "Oh, you're not competent enough, or you're not professional enough, or it's a safety issue." But in reality, we should have a way to fix our own products. Or if I own a vehicle, if I own a Honda, I want to know how to fix my vehicle. Sure, it's in their best interest not to give you that information, but I wish the public knew that it hurts them too. It just doesn't hurt the technician; it hurts them too because costs go up. If we're trying to deal with a diagram, you're just winging it. You're like, okay, well, instead of having a diagram where we could see the whole map of the whole vehicle, no, we're gonna have to reverse engineer your car before we can diagnose the problem, and that raises costs for everybody. And the public needs to know that, and it's a daunting task to begin with. Just the education of the public on that front. So,
well, I'm actually very sure that's the angle that our parties took, was that the right to repair is actually for the consumer. So the consumer has the choices, not stuck into just fixing. I own a car, I should have the choice where to fix it. So I'm pretty sure that's how they actually got a lot of the the rules and regulations passed to actually allow the right to repair to happen. Well, in Australia, anyways, that's the angle I think they played at, which look, it worked. And if they're so concerned about safety, wouldn't you want the guy fixing the car to have all the information? If you're actually concerned about safety, let me fix a car safely. I don't get it. Anyway.
That's the thing. I mean, if you create a product, do you really want to give all the diagrams out to everybody so that anybody can just do what they want? I understand it. I get it.
Yeah.
But the automotive, humanity depends on so much on the automotive that it has to happen. It kind of you can't just put out a car out there and then expect nobody to want to fix it. We need the freedom of choice. And if you want to monopolize repair, I would rather go about it at the angle that, with the angle that if you want to monopolize the repair, we look down upon that. We as Australians, we as Americans or Europeans, Chinese, wherever, what have you, if you want to monopolize the repair, they'll do it with parts first. But if you want to monopolize the service information, we look down on that and everyone suffers. And it's going to be no secret that you are against the overall benefit of the consumer. So direct or indirect. So I'm hoping that little by little, that keeps going.
Yeah, it's a hard battle.
It's an uphill battle.
Yeah,
uphill battle, big time. But
we're definitely learning how each manufacturer's different. Some are really easy. I mean, we've got a version of Nastiff which is called Azra. Dude, what does Azra stand for again, Costa? I can't remember.
It's Azra. I don't know too much abbreviation.
Okay, Azra. It's Azra, and they're like the ombudsman. And we've got participating brands and non-participating brands. And in my opinion, I've had more joy with the non-participating brands. Send your EV accreditations, send your police check, make sure you've not been in prison for stealing cars or something like that. Really easy. Whereas on the Azra side, for example, brands like Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes, they're really difficult, in my opinion. I think
Mercedes is the king of this.
You saw Mario's face light up just a yeah.
I did, yeah. So
Mercedes, I should have seen that one coming.
I think I'd have to double check, but I think for a workshop to lease the dealer equipment, I think it's sort of for about $40,000 for a year.
Wow.
I'd have to double check that. I think the information
4-year lease.
Yeah, wow.
Still, I mean, but for a shop, if you're doing 60% Mercedes or something like that, or you're SEN coding multiple times a week, it's a no-brainer because it's only $700-800 a month. It's in your best interest at that point to go ahead and do that. But the fact that they're even doing it, I mean, it's a Mercedes. I mean, don't get me wrong. Mercedes are nice cars, but it's still just a Mercedes, why do they have? It's already a complicated car. Why make it cost prohibitive as well? I mean, it's just I don't know. Obviously, they have their angle. It's
who has the best portal. I mean, I've only skimmed across the surface, but Tesla's portal looks fantastic. For an independent workshop, I was really impressed with it.
I've never seen it.
Wow. The information that I've gotten from Tesla was before they actually put it out there. So I don't even know what their portals look like. But you didn't hear that from me.
We'll remove that.
You didn't hear that from me.
6 minutes in, Costa. 6 minutes in. It's okay because we've done a few podcasts and I've said to Costa, I think Elon Musk is going to take me to court.
He's watching us.
I've made a few calls. I know, Elon, Well done. But
I'm pretty sure. I think you're getting sued by both Elon and also Volkswagen Group. I'm pretty sure they're the two groups that are taking you to court. Mate.
maybe Sanyong.
No, Volkswagen. I mean, I've never done anything with Volkswagen, but I mean, Tesla. They put their information out there. That's the thing. Like once people start putting things out there, it's kind of uncontrollable. So I think he knew that. I think he knew that information was already out there. So he said, "Let's do it for free, and we'll charge you other ways." So it's just how it is. For me, my favorite. Yeah, we'll find a way. I mean, of course, right? Write software and change the range of the vehicle at a moment's notice, or lock you out of supercharging. Without warning, with a paywall. But for me, my favorite is BMW. $30 a day, you get ISTA, you get all the diagrams, you get all the parts, the labor times. I mean, it's nuts. I think it's awesome. Whoever put in the effort to make that happen, I mean, do that for everyone else, please.
Yeah,
because it's awesome. And the interface is like what, $700-800, and they are constantly updating. It does have its issues, but it's a strong tool for the money.
I think the good thing with BMW is there's a lot of good aftermarket tool support that will flash in individual modules, your auto lands, your autols, and things like that. I think it makes it accessible to repair them.
But they come with their limitations as well, because you can end up, coding a vehicle wrong or causing a break. I mean, don't get me wrong, that risk is still there even with the legit stuff. You do everything right, and you can still run that risk, and you can still break a car or break a DME or something like that. So, but it is nice that the aftermarket comes around. But some don't like that. Some don't like their ways of doing it, and it's understandable. But the car has to get fixed.
That's right.
But at the same time, BMW makes it accessible. Yeah. The car has to get fixed, but BMW at least, $30 a day, you can get that car done, and their diagrams are even better than Mercedes.
Yeah, no-brainer.
Yeah,
that's the no-brainer.
That's like $1 million in Australia, Costa, by the way.
Yeah, it's going up for exchange, right? It's about 6.8 million. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Oh, then as long as you make 10 million on the job,
just margin. Just put your margin on. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just a margin. Pay for itself.
I think we're all getting sued now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That's awesome.
So
it's all right.
I guess what I'd like and me and Costa had a chat earlier, but what made you get into the industry last year?
Necessity.
Yeah, right.
It's a bit of a long story. There's multiple angles. There's like, oh my goodness, where do I start?
When I was 6. No.
Yeah. So when I was 1, no, just kidding. When I was like 13, 14, my mom would have, we didn't have a lot of money or anything like that. So we would buy like the oldest cars and whatnot. And she had this one mechanic, so-called mechanic. He really was a parts changer, don't get me wrong. You give him anything electrical, he was gone. He was out of it. And whenever anything would happen, she found, like, she just kept going back to him. And I started catching on. I was 13, but still, I started catching on. Like, hey, listen, every time you go to this guy, you pay him money, but he finds a way to get this car back to you. I mean, obviously, I know better that she had a hoopty. She had a hoopty. But in those days, in my mind, I thought, this guy is ripping her off. First is this, and then is that, and he worked in that area, and then it's this, and then it's that, and then he just kept pumping money out of her. And then one day I just told her, why do you go to him? Why don't you just go somewhere else? Take it to another mechanic. Take it to somebody else. And in Spanish, she tells me, what do you know? You're not a mechanic. And she was
challenge accepted.
She was dead on. Challenge accepted. Oh, it's on. And no, incidentally, I actually did. I went through like every job you can think of before I went into mechanics. It was just that mechanics caught my attention once I was in it, and even though I was close to quitting, I was close to just getting out of the industry. Um, I ended up doubling down instead. So yeah, it started with that, but also my grandfather would teach me whatever he could, and he was not a mechanic. He was just the guy that something broke, he took it apart. He took it apart and he would try to fix it. And if he couldn't fix it, well,
yeah,
it was broken anyway.
So
yeah, there's no loss. I mean, yeah, he would take apart watches, TVs, radios, you name it, fans, and we would just look at the insides, and it was interesting, because he just took the time to do it, and that inspired like the curiosity. So, and then the necessity part came, and not to like bore you with like every detail, but the necessity part came where I was like 19. I was working at a firearms manufacturer, and I was working at an assembly line. I was able to afford a motorcycle. I got into motorcycles early on. I mean, I loved them. As soon as I got on two wheels, I loved it. It was amazing. I was fascinated. So I bought me a Suzuki Gixxer, 750 cc's, and blew the engine. Well, actually, I didn't blow the engine. What had happened was the chain was not maintained. Obviously, I bought it secondhand. The chain broke and it got wound up in the front sprocket until it met with the crankcase and split the crankcase apart and leaked oil and coolant everywhere. And I almost, skidded. I almost slipped and died, but I didn't. And it was hot and I had to get pushed. I was actually riding with someone else, and they were able to kind of like, put their leg against my rear peg, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and
push me home.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where he is now, but thank you. I don't think you're watching, but thank you. He pushed me home, and I considered the costs of whether to replace the motorcycle or to try to fix it. And as it turns out, Suzuki has an amazing manual for like an 01 Gixxer 750, and it lists every single detail, every tool you need, every torque spec, every sequence, every procedure. And I read it for like 6 months straight. And I said, you know what? I might be able to do something like this. And it's a 3-part crankcase. You can buy the head, the mid case, and the lower case where it's the transmission and all that. So it's all housed into one unit, not like vehicles nowadays where it's 2 separate units to make up the powertrain. Motorcycle, it's just all one piece. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Bought all the pieces, $1,200 later, and a couple of tools, and we got it fixed. And that gave me like the confidence to go into a shop and say, hey, I can rebuild engines.
I'm actually a professional engine rebuilder.
Oh yeah, I can rebuild them. It got me the job. I started from zero. I started from like changing oil.
I was getting ready for you split your crankcase. You went to the auto zone or whatever it's called there. You bought a tube of epoxy resin, and I fixed it. Beautiful.
No. I saw the aluminum. I knew that much. I was working at a firearms manufacturer, and I was working alongside engineers, and they would tell me all kinds of things. I mean, drop all kinds of knowledge, and it really helped understand the limitations of certain things, the reality of certain things. So that really helped me as well.
I think
I wanted to become
tricky things as well, especially the way the lower crankcase halves, the chain running in the center, and
So you just reminded me. I fixed it, but I didn't fix it completely. So remember, the chain got wound up.
So you're an engine rebuilder, but not a chain fitter, right?
No. So excuse me, the chain got wound up, which is something I didn't consider when I was, having this thing apart. I didn't examine every inch, every millimeter of this thing. So when I put it back together, engine started right up, revved it up, put it into gear. We're good to go. We're about to go. And every couple of feet, I would hear click, 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 click every couple of feet as I'm rolling down the road. And it was because the chain put so much pressure on the gears, on that gear, whatever gear it was. I forgot if it was second or third, that it made an indentation on the gears. And that was causing my click. So I had to take it apart again. And look at the gears, see which gear was in, see which ones are responsible for turning in those gears. And then I found the little nicks on the gear. So then I had to take apart all the gears and stuff and replace the gears and then put it all back together. And then we were good to go. So
he nearly left that part.
I had my first comeback.
I had to do it twice.
Yeah, I had my first comeback. It was amazing.
But look, that's quite simple. That's just taking the bottom off. You're not having to completely strip it down, but still, well done. Good work.
Thanks. I mean, it actually kind of like propelled me into mechanics in general. That's what really got me into this stuff. So then I applied to a shop, a change store. It was a tire shop, and the rest is history, right?
So how did you make that?
That's how I got started.
That's what I find interesting. How did you make the progression from deciding that, tire shop, lube shop, whatever you want, and then like, no, I really love the complex stuff. I must well, the complex stuff,
That took a while because I was about to quit the industry. Go figure. I was applying at Winn-Dixie, which is like a supermarket. I wouldn't get no calls. Right. I would apply at like whatever. I mean, entry level everything, and I wouldn't get anything. And this was after I was doing all kinds of jobs on my own. And then the shop actually responded because I told them I could rebuild an engine, obviously.
They called your bluff.
We need to send this.
Well, they didn't want me to go rebuilding engines. Yeah. They didn't want me to go rebuilding engines. They're like, you know what? No matter what your level, we're going to start you at zero. I'm like, okay, I'll start at zero. Let's learn this thing. And so started from scratch. Oil changes, belts, maintenance, service stuff, the express lane, I guess you could call it nowadays. The express lane guy. That was me. I was knocking out tires in no time. Killing myself, really, because it adds up. And I was trying to be the fastest gun in the West, and then that's where I started getting to a point where like, do I really want to do this forever? I mean, there's got to be another way. I mean, I became a mechanic, yes, but I'm not happy doing oil changes all day and tires. I want to progress. I want to do what these other guys are doing. They're diagnosing things. And one day I threw my back out pretty bad. I was in an accident. It's not like it was all mechanical, stress and all that screwed out my back. I was in a car accident and screwed up my back. And at the time I didn't feel it. So I walked away. I didn't, call the cops or anything. I didn't go get checked out or nothing. I didn't feel it at the moment. And then sometime later, I did feel it, and it was bad. And I was working already, and I couldn't even walk straight. And it was so bad that I said, I think I can't do this anymore. I can't be doing these tires and these, like hustling everywhere, running around like a madman, getting these cars out. I was doing, I think I did 30 cars a day at one point, just knocking these cars out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And at that point, I said, you know what, I think I might be done. And I had a diag. I had my first diag. They said, you know what, we got to check in the light. We want to give it to you. Because I had started expressing my concerns, obviously. I said, you know what, this is taking a toll, with the accident and all. They're like, all right, well, you want to get into diag? All right, let's give you a diag. And it was a P0171 on a Mitsubishi Endeavor. And on both sides, it was, both banks were lean. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what did I do?
Where do we start?
Fuel trims?
It needs an oil change.
It needs an oil change.
Yeah. It was at the end of the day. I scanned it. I saw the codes. At the end of the day, I'm like, hey, we need it till tomorrow. We need it till tomorrow. I go home and I'm searching everything I can about P0171, fuel trims. I go into YouTube. I mean, it was the first time I actually looked into YouTube to look for anything diag wise. And step one obviously was a smoke test.
Yeah.
So I asked my manager, do we have a smoke tester? And they say, no, we don't have a smoke tester. And back then, the cheapest smoke tester you could get was like $1,200-1,300.
Yeah, they were big bucks.
You know?
I remember early on.
Yeah, nowadays
my first one was
nowadays
crazy money. Yeah.
Yeah. To this day, they still don't have a smoke tester. That was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
No, that was 7 years ago. Because I was already 2 years in. And they said, no, we don't have a smoke tester. And I started looking up DIY smoke testers. And one of them was, you get a paint can, an empty paint can, brand new. And you start smoking anything, really. Put newspapers in there or whatever.
That shot burned
Yeah.
down.
Or it was I ended up using things that I shouldn't have used, but it was my first ever. I didn't know anything. I didn't know that you could use baby oil or whatever, mineral oil or anything like that. And
You just wanted smoke.
just wanted smoke.
Yeah.
Good smoke too. So I wanted it to be real heavy smoke. And I made one and I put a regulator in there and everything, according to the video, and I made a smoke tester and
So,
found.
If we ever come into the workshop and Mario's collecting some timbers and woods, don't ask any questions.
I was going to say, I want a follow-up
away.
video of his smoke tester. Have you still got it?
No. Once I found out how bad that was, I chucked it. And I didn't last too long in that shop afterwards. So I ended up going somewhere else, and everyone else had smoke testers at that time.
Did you fix CPO 171?
Yeah, I did, but not without its turtles, because I found an EGR gasket that was no good and a valve cover gaskets that were leaking as well. So it was multiple leaks.
Mhm.
This car was just, beaten down or whatnot. We got the approval. We did the job, but I told the guy, it was a chain store, remember? I told the guy, hey, listen, it needs an EGR gasket. And he says, just reuse it. Just reuse it. Me knowing nothing, me knowing nothing, put the same one back on. I'm like, hey, we should change it. Oh, we can't get it. Whatever the latest excuse was at the time. Maybe they couldn't have gotten it. Who knows? But he's like, oh, see if the used one works, or just reuse it or whatever. Put it back on, and everything's great at first, and then the check engine light turned on eventually. And that was my second comeback.
Two from two.
All my comebacks here, man. What's going on?
2 from 2. Well done.
2 for 2. Yeah, it did leave. I had my comeback. It was my first diag, my first real diag, and I learned a lot about fuel trims at the time and how they affect the feedback system. How they affect fuel correction, all that good stuff. So I learned a lot just to know how to handle that one code, and that opened it up for me big time. It wasn't even an electrical issue that opened it up at that time. The electrical did come later. Once I started, getting into the cam and crank sensors, that opened me up to scanner danner and whatnot. And it just goes from there. Just as long as I learned by repetition, so I had to watch the videos a million times so that it gets in there, and finally learn this stuff, and it went from there. Eventually I wanted to find what the next level was. So it was diags, then electrical, and then what's next? Is it networks? Went into networks. What's next? Programming. Going into programming. What's next? ADAS. It's just not staying stagnant is the key in this industry. If you want to change parts all day, that's great. You can make money doing it, but if you want to be in it for the long haul, you may want to consider learning a lot more than that. The diag stuff, the electrical, the networks, the ADAS, the calibrations, programming, mobilizer stuff, all that stuff, because like I said, you can't do it forever. My body took a toll, and I had to decide that, instead of killing myself all the time. I think I'm gonna, do a mental exercise every time I work on a car, and that's where I wanted to go with my career from then on.
I think pushing yourself in life, no matter what you're doing, you're always going to benefit from pushing yourself up that bit further.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not. I'm not saying that it's easy or anything like that. It's rough, it's tough, but everything in this career is. It's just a different way of doing it. It's just what kind of stress do you want? Do you want the physical stress? You want to come home tired, beaten down every single day, or would you rather have like more mental stress, which it's pretty rough too, but at least you can pick up your kid when you get home, instead of being like, oh, I can't do anything, I'm exhausted. Don't get me wrong, I get exhausted. I'm exhausted today, but it's what are you gonna do? 60, 70 years old, still pumping out brake jobs. Don't get me wrong, there's people who do it, that's great, you make money doing it, but man, that's not easy on your body. You got to think about that.
Do you is all your work now Autobahn Diagnostics, is it called?
Autobahn Performance is the shop.
Sorry, Autobahn Performance.
Yeah.
Is it purely Diag that you do, or do you do regular work in there as well?
The big majority is Diag.
Yeah.
The big majority.
I've seen some of your stuff on YouTube. In fact, while I was waiting for Costa to come online before, I think you posted something on YouTube. So I've got
just a quick review.
I've got some more. Thanks. I've got some more stuff to watch. I've followed you on YouTube for a while, and it's really impressive some of the stuff you're doing. I'm like, how's he got there? Like, how's he fixed it? Like, obviously you're not getting as many comebacks.
I mean that's why I try to share it, because some people might say that it's not that common. Oh, like, when am I going to see that? But what about when you do see it? What are you going to do then? And I try not to show, like, my case studies. I try my best not to show where, like, it's this is what fixes the car. I try to show, well, how can I, as an average technician, get the resources that I need? What tools do I need? What information do I need to get to the same conclusion? And some of them, it's experience, and sometimes it's these little tricks that certain cars do. Like, Europeans are, I mean, if you're in for tricks and product knowledge, Europeans are the way to go for that. European vehicles, because they have their little, how can I explain it? It's you can only know it if you work on it.
Yeah, that's right.
The way it works, the way it does it, it's, and that's the whole point of my videos. It's really to just try to kind of like ease the burden a bit for everyone to start getting into it, because really we need more people coming in than going out, and it's not the case at the time. So
yes, so you guys obviously are getting the same sort of staff shortages and tech shortages as we are, probably.
That's everywhere, man. That's everywhere. Yeah.
It's got to be, but I think everywhere.
The thing is that it reveals itself in different ways, because a lot of shops, they won't necessarily close down anymore. So what they do is send us their work. So we get a lot of shops send us their tough ones. So I do get a lot of problem childs that are from other shops. Other mechanics already been through them, and they've already tried. And that's what's really unique about this shop is the fact that Jason is the shop owner. He has somehow networked with, everyone in the 50-mile radius, and has become like the last stop, basically. Like, this is, if it can't be done here, you're pretty much screwed. Unless we're not equipped for something like that. But he's got a great reputation. Even when I first started here, it's like this shop was already full of cars from other shops, all Diag, all electrical stuff, comms, drivability stuff, So I'm pretty impressed with that already. There's a lot of shops that could do that. If you have a really good Diag tech I'm not saying that I'm a really good Diag tech or anything, but if you have a great team or a great Diag team with a great Diag capabilities, I mean, you could really market to other shops.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not just
100%.
it's not just the walk-ins. You know, it's not all about the walk-ins.
And it's also one of those things that, look, I in the past have also even outsourced stuff. I've come to the end of it, right? It's like, don't care what it costs. Can we get this car fixed? It's like,
Yeah.
Once the workshop's fed up with the car, a lot of the time it turns out just whatever it costs, we need this car fixed, please. Please.
Yeah.
When your brain gets to that point, it just wants to melt. I mean, yeah. I'm sure Mario may every now and then. Do you ever just get to a point where I just want to make this car disappear out of my bay, out of my life? I don't want to see it.
It comes to the point that either the car disappears or I disappear.
Push it around the block and back in the door.
That's where he's out back making another smoke machine.
Yeah. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna make a homemade smoke machine.
I want a test drive. I don't know what happened to the car. It's gone. Oh man, yeah, of course I've had my share. There's a lot of stress that's involved with it too. Like a lot of people don't realize how stressful it could be having a car that you can't figure out, or a car that you're so sure that it's that thing. You did all the tests, and even after the fact, even after you change that component, it doesn't fix it. All your tests still lead you back to that, and all it takes is that one piece of information, right? If you just had that one person share this one key piece of information,
100%,
it would have changed the whole trajectory of the Diag. So nobody knows everything. So that's why I think it's extremely important to share and network with people.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because I've recently seen you had a bit of a sort of open networking day.
Yeah.
With food and pizzas and probably beer and tools and stuff. I think like we're in a good position in Australia where we can do things like that as well, and other guys speaking to each other and being able to pick up a phone or hash out a car with a fault. I think it's brilliant to be able to do so. There's enough work.
That's awesome.
You don't need to, no one's stealing your customer. They probably don't want the customer. They don't want another car, but we want to help you.
Yeah, how many out there want the car that Mario can't fix? Go on, put your hand.
I'll give it to you gladly. Yeah, there's some rough ones out there. There are some rough ones, and it sucks. But on the flip side, it's you have the people in the industry that make it seem as if it's too easy. I think that's a big problem in our industry as well. They make it seem as if, it's just a car. I think that anybody who says that, they haven't been challenged enough, because it's not just a car.
Yeah,
not anymore.
That's what customers say to us, but it's just a few bolts.
Yeah, especially customers. I mean, you think that's just a car? Yeah. Why do you have to put in a password to your Wi-Fi in your car?
Yeah.
Tell me what that CAN message means.
Yeah. So if you
not just a car.
If you walk in the shop on Monday, you've got your coffee, 7:30 a.m. or whatever. What car would make you want to throw up if it was in your bay? Is there a brand which just, oh God, why is it here? I'm going to call in sick,
brand?
or what car manufacturer is like your
kryptonite?
Kryptonite, yeah.
Kryptonite. I've boiled it down to certain things. It's systems. It's not particularly brands, because I could like a Dodge Charger all day long, but I'm not gonna like their diesels. I'm not into diesels. I've made that clear from the get-go. And they're becoming prevalent. And I'm not talking about small time diesels. I'm talking about those Power Strokes and those big ones. I mean, I don't care for them. But the smaller one, like the BMW ones, they're not so bad. Everything's layered, don't get me wrong, but it's not as bad. For me, it's not as bad as like the Power Stroke. If I wanted to work on a Power Stroke, I'd be in a diesel shop. That's not what I want to get into. Yeah. But also the CIS systems, the continuous injection systems, the old school CIS systems, I don't care for them. I got my ass kicked so bad by one that I swore never to touch another.
You traumatized, bro.
Yeah, screw that. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people can get pretty good at them.
Do we need to have a
Huh?
talk? Are you okay? You need to have a talk. I feel
Yeah.
like that's
You
I
made
am
another
not into
smoke
them.
machine.
No, there's a smoke machine doesn't do anything on those. Like the manuals are all Xeroxed off of a
God.
like an old manual. Like they are photocopied 10 times over, and it's missing words. Sometimes it's I I guess I have been spoiled too much by technology because I would rather press Control F and find what I need than to go through the whole thing just to find what I need. You know, I'm not into that. And the indexing on those is so bad that the manuals, I get it. That was the best in their day. But at the same time, and some people are going to hate me for this, but I'm trying to keep up with the stuff that's coming out. Why am I going to stay buried with 60s, 70s technology yet? Oh, you got to know how it started. Not necessarily. We don't need to get to know how it started. We need to know how to fix these cars now. In my opinion.
I don't think that's
get
a bad call at all.
a what now?
I don't think that's a bad call at all. You need to know how to fix what's in your shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I gonna break my head over like a car that I see every 5 years? No.
Well,
No.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
This is how a starter motor works. Now they've all got starter generators, so don't worry about that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my mentality. And then a lot of people don't like that, but you know what? I need to stay on top of the stuff that's coming out now.
Yeah.
All the electrical stuff, the circuit board level stuff, the fact that we're going to end up with module shortages. I think that it's going to be a definite thing. Not to be like a naysayer or like a gloom type person, but we already saw it once. We already saw it several times.
Oh,
what makes you think you're not going to see it again?
Down in Oz, we're still feeling it. We can't get.
Yeah.
We can't get anything. We are so short of a lot of components right now, and modules are like almost don't bother calling manufacturers anymore. It's like, who can fix this, rather than it's almost not worth making a call in 90% of the cases.
But the problem is sending them away is so hit and miss to have them repaired. It's so hit and miss. I don't know what it's like in Florida, but you send a computer to a specialist. Oh yeah, it was broken. We've fixed it, and you put it on the car, and it's just no different to how you sent it. I don't know. It's so annoying.
Well,
we had that in the UK as well.
Yeah, well, the problem with that is then you think you've misdiagnosed and you start chasing something else.
Right. It could be a MCU issue, which is the big boy chip in there, right? Yeah. And what are you going to do? You're going to change the MCU, but then you would have to change all kinds of stuff. But not to go too far into that. Let's say it's an MCU issue, but the guy on the one fixing it has tested everything outside of that and can only decide to say to you, it's either the MCU or what's the usual case is, I don't see anything wrong with this. So they did their part, right? Oh, I don't see anything wrong with this. But did they like hook up everything and actuate it and do everything that they needed to do to find out that that's the problem? Or whatnot, like to find out it's not a component level problem. It could be a logic issue inside a firmware issue inside the motherboard. So most of the time they're going to tell you, oh, we couldn't find anything wrong. And then that turns into a whole nother thing because it's okay, did I misdiagnose this thing?
Yeah.
And then in the end, it's the MCU, it's the big boy chip, which you can't just change. You can't just swap it out for another because it has, like, let's say, immobilizer information in it. So if you do swap it out, well, you're not going to be able to start the car. So that's where it becomes a mess. The thing about circuit board level repairs is that you need everything in place. You need all the inputs. You need all the. You may be able to hook up a scan tool and bidirectionally control things, but it really depends on the component we're talking about here. But other than that, you're just doing continuity testing and resistance and diode testing and ruling out short circuits. It really depends on the kind of failure, but it's a really physical check. It's kind of like it's literally checking wires. it's like you would check any other sensor. Oh, it's shorted to 5 volts or shorted to ground, but in the motherboard level. So you're really doing the same thing that you're doing up on the car, but on the circuit board level. But what do you do when you ruled out everything outside of the PCM, right?
That's right.
You know, what are you gonna say?
That's
You know,
right.
and you can't just change out the PCM these days without having to reprogram everything. You know,
so just send you broken electronics to Mario in Florida. Address is in the description. See,
no, I'm not a pro.
Specialist.
I know enough to be dangerous. That's all.
Story of my life.
Hang on a minute. I need to write that down. That's awesome.
So you finding that you're doing a lot of those repairs now in house? Are you starting to do a lot of them sort of there and there, or are you still sending stuff away for that sort of ECU repair?
It depends on the case, because some things are sent out, you know, where it's confidence level. Let's say, like Tricores is a certain chip where all of the it's all of the contact points, all of the conductors, I guess you could call it, they're all on the bottom face of the chip, and you need specialized equipment in order to transfer that chip or to do anything with it. Really, I wouldn't take it upon myself to do that. I already tried. You know, you get a bad module. Yeah, you get a bad module.
It's broken anyways, right? It's broken anyways.
Yeah, to get the alignment on those things, you have to be dead on. I mean, some people have like the big rigs where it'll lay it down for you mechanically. It's insane. I don't have any of that stuff, so I know my limitations concerning that. And yeah, there's definitely things that I'd rather send out and have somebody warranty. That's part of the issue as well, because like it's like transmissions. For me, I'm not a transmission guy. I'll be the first one to tell you. I would rather have that transmission go to a guy that's been doing it for 50 years, and they could warranty the job, and they can guarantee their work. And if anything happens, it's backed up. We've got support and whatnot. For me to go, I got my ASC, my transmission ASC certification. But I mean, does that make me a transmission guy? No, I don't see transmissions every day. I see electrical stuff every day. You know, I see drivability, but I think that that's another thing that people need to stop doing, is being the hero, being the jack of all trades. You know, you want to be the transmission guy, but you want to be this guy. You want to be, you know, we're heading towards specialization. We must specialize, I think, and that only that way can we be really good at what we do and charge a premium for it. You know, you can't charge a premium if you're doing tires and then repairing a circuit board right after that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there's guys that do it, but I also think that it's use it or lose it. You know, if you're going to be doing diag, you get really good at it, right? It stays fresh. And you go to do oil changes for like a month, you're going to forget stuff. You're going to forget stuff.
Yeah.
Use it or lose it. So I think we need to specialize more. There's going to be a lot of shop owners who are going to be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, I got to run a business. You know, if you get the right guys to specialize in certain areas, maybe it's like, you know, 3 to 7 areas, and you just take it to those techs for those certain things, you would save a lot of time on misdiagnosed things, installed things, you know, improperly repaired things, because people specialize. And that's not to say that I want a technician to just learn one thing and that's it, be done with it. I'm just saying that if you want to succeed and make it, you know, bring the bacon home big time, you're gonna want to specialize eventually, you know.
But I had a chat with a guy who is a Volkswagen Group specialist, and that's all he does, nothing but. They're making a lot of money and not much stress, because they know them inside and out. They know what they need to keep in stock. They're not waiting for parts to arrive. They're not waiting for. They've got ECUs for certain things on the shelf. Like they're geared up where things come in, things go out. They've got all the right programming stuff. They've got all the software they need, all the hardware they need, tooling they need, and it's just an efficiency machine, in and out, in and out,
just flows.
in and out. It just flows. And they almost know from the customer's description of a problem. Oh, yeah, it's going to be this, and they've already got the parts ready to go. You know, because of the repetitive nature of it. You know,
not to say that that's a good, way about going about things, like being repetitive. I'm not saying it be repetitive.
Oh, they still get curly stuff. We got to remember it is Volkswagen, so there's always curly problems.
yeah, definitely.
But
definitely.
Yeah, as a money making machine, bloody hell. They yeah.
Well, you got to make money, right?
Yeah, they churn it.
10 million bucks.
Sorry,
$10 million.
Gotta get you 10 million bucks.
Yeah.
That's like a shop that does all kinds of things, right? Like they do. Let's say you're just an oil changer, right? You could be a specialist, but you also have to stay on top of the latest things. I always get this like thing. Oh, I've been doing this for 30 years, but the technology changes. You know that, right? I mean, the technology changes on the drop of a hat. You could be doing oil changes all day long, but as soon as you get one of those new Porsches, you're gonna be letting out transmission fluid where you thought that it was engine oil. So it happens a lot. Like you have to stay on top.
I've done that before.
Yeah. Oh,
not even
sorry, man.
Not even gonna lie. It was a Volkswagen Group car. I've done that before.
Don't lie, Costa. Don't
lie.
That's
all it takes.
That oil was quite clear for engine oil. Oh,
yeah. Oops.
Let me see how much comes out. If it comes out like 5 quarts, we're okay. And then it comes out like 7, 8 quarts. I was like, okay, that wasn't overfilled.
Yeah. And then look at the information: to refuel, remove transmission. What?
Yeah. I've seen those. We've had those from other shops where the Porsche would come in, and the technician thought that they had drained the oil, so they refilled it, but there's no dipstick. And how much oil you think went in there? And no transmission fluid, all at the same time.
Double whammy.
Yeah, it's bad. You do not want to do that.
Yeah, no.
So all the crowd. I'll probably be one of those that says the same thing. Oh, I've been doing this for 30 years. But I also think that when you get complacent, that's where it hurts you. Obviously, that's a given. But it's easy. It's easy to do that because you get used to something. You start not looking up diagrams. You start not looking up the service information. Oh yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah. And then you get complacent, and then you make mistakes. And I just think that this industry, this field, has a way of keeping you on your toes. Every new car that comes out is just constant. It's a constant thing where you just have to keep reading, keep learning. And the day you stop learning is the day you're gonna screw up. I've said it plenty of times. You have to keep learning in this industry. It never ends. It never ends.
Totally agree. I always make it very clear. One of my worst sayings when I hear people say, "Oh, but that's how we've always done it." Oh,
yeah.
No, that's when I hear that, it just boils me.
That's how I've always done it.
That's a problem. That's a problem. That's how you've always done it. It should have never. Oh,
I'm going to write this down as well, Costa.
Yeah. This car just came out. What are you talking about? You've always done it.
We've always done it, and it enrolls in like a 2022 electric something. You haven't always done it. You're lying.
I always filled it up with gas. Yeah, I always filled it up with gas. Can't do that anymore. Things change. You got to get with the times.
That's right.
And that's why I think that it does nobody any favors to like stick with the old stuff. Not to say that there's no market for it. There's a market for it. There's going to be willing and paying customers to service their older vehicles, and that's fine. If that's your thing, that's fine. But we're already falling behind. There's a technician shortage. We need to stay on top and keep these new technicians coming in, or else everyone's going to be hurting. Everyone's going to be hurting big time.
Totally agree. What do you think the solution is for that? Do you have a solution in your head that you think might work for encouraging guys that are on the fence, thinking about doing something in the automotive space?
I'm trying to do that already with my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Is to kind of show. Did you hear about? I don't know the exact details, but it was like a race car company. I don't know if it was NASCAR, if it was like the Formula One, right? Those guys. for the longest time, the way they've always done it, right? For the longest time, they never allowed people to take photos and videos of their events. You would have to pay for it, or it was very exclusive. And then they started losing the audience. They started losing their audience. They started dwindling a bit, and it's a big, big industry. That Formula One
Big
stuff
money,
is
F1.
big, big
Oh, yeah.
money.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness! But they were going down. They were on a downward slope. And what did their new CEO do? They said, you know what? We're gonna let people film. We're gonna let people do pictures, and it's gonna get, screw it. Let them do it. And what did they do? It went on social media. It went everywhere. It went like wildfire, and their sales just started growing again, and all the youth started coming back in. I think that we've done too good of a job of, holding on to our secrets. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it. There's safety issues. You don't want to reveal certain things about a card that will give someone enough ammo to be a danger to themselves. But at the same time, how do you expect people to come in if everything is so failed? And first, what do you accomplish by keeping all those secrets, right? Let's say that's the perfect world for most of these technicians who do this. They don't share. Let's say that was true, right? Let's say that happened. All right, so nobody's sharing anything. And then when a new technician goes into a shop, well, nobody has an incentive to share with that new technician either, because then their pocket gets hurt. If you're on commission, you have no incentive to teach that new technician. So first off, there's no way for you to learn outside of the industry. Once you get into the industry, you have nobody to teach you. And then, like, what incentive is there to stay?
Why would I?
That's got to change.
Yeah.
That's got to change. If you're going to be successful, you need knowledge, right? Where are you going to get that knowledge? You're going to get it from people who already have it. And if they have no incentive to share, then how is that ever going to be the cycle that we need to grow, to continue this, to continue getting technicians into the industry? That's the way I see it. Maybe I could be wrong, but
no, I agree. I think it starts
with sharing.
Level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that should
it
be
starts
a good
at
culture
the workshop level for sure.
Yeah, man, good culture that every workshop should have. Like, they should all be sort of sharing as much as they can. Team effort rather than the individual sort of thing. I think it works a lot better.
Yeah, but it's not incentivized. That's the problem. Which
so we're different in Australia. We don't do many because you guys have like what's a word for it? Like all of our what's it called again? The way they
flat
pay.
rate? It was flat rate.
Not flat.
The other one. What's the other one?
Yep.
Yeah.
The one how you got like a time
rate.
and you get paid for that time, and if you do it faster, you still get paid for that time. We have none of that. Does not. I only actually learned about that when we spoke to Sean Tipping, and I couldn't believe it was a real thing. Because in my head, I just thought, all I pictured in my head was if I had my staff member and he was trying to race the clock, all I can picture is mistakes happening. That's all I can picture in my head. If you're constantly racing the clock.
And the hardcore flat rate guys will tell you, if you're a good tech, you'll turn 120 hours a week and you won't make any mistakes. You won't have any comebacks, which is total BS because if you never had a comeback, you've never challenged yourself enough.
Yeah.
You're not taking on crazy diags.
Yeah. But even with basic stuff, the comebacks, they happen. They get less frequent as you get more experience. But that's about it. They still happen.
Yeah. And that's another thing is that you'll get somebody who's like brand spanking new into the industry and put them on flat rate so they don't get to learn outside of the industry. They come into the industry, nobody wants to share with you. You get put on commission only, and you have to buy thousands and thousands of dollars worth of tools. You have to go find your own training. Like, I mean, nobody can say, how are we going to get other people? There's so many red flags to this system that how is it not obvious what the problem is? And we know what the problem is. We know what we have to do to change it, but and little by little, some shops are starting to change it. But the thing is, I know it's hard.
It's tricky because you almost like, do you make more money or do you get more knowledge? Do you get more experience? It's a bit of a
it is.
You'd hope that you can bundle it together with the knowledge that leads to more money, hopefully. It has to be feasible for the workshop. I get it, but it's also going to be.
But the thing is that if shops charge what they deserved,
this wouldn't
be an issue.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of shops don't think they deserve it. How can I possibly charge the customer this much money for a broken wire?
It's how we always did it. It's all
Are you
how we did
serious?
it. We always charge this much. Can't change it. Yeah.
I mean, do you negotiate with your doctors when you walk in?
I'm gonna try to now.
I mean, all you did was a snip. All you did was a snip. I mean, I could have done that myself. I just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
You know, I think that a lot of shop owners don't think they deserve that. A lot of them are undercharging, undervaluing themselves. Oh, the book time says 1 hour. Yeah, but the book time says 1 hour for a brand new vehicle. It's not talking about a rust bucket. Yeah. It's not talking about a rust bucket that's been through 50 other technicians.
Yeah.
It's not talking about a man-made issue.
Yeah.
You know, it's talking about a brand new car at the dealer where they decide this is how much book time it's going to be. That's what they do.
Well, isn't that more based upon this is how much the manufacturer wants to pay the dealer or something? It's like a ridiculous, not a real time.
Yeah, that's rough. Hey, if people want to do flat rate, that's fine. That's up to them. But I don't think it's doing anybody favors for the reasons I already mentioned. There's no incentive to share. There's no incentive for me to go help somebody else. Why?
Yeah.
Because there's not, I don't get rewarded for that.
It takes it out of your time, right? Yeah, that's right. So if someone asks you for a hand, you're almost inclined to say no, even though you're working in the same shop.
They're incentivizing it. Am I going to be such a douche that I wouldn't do that? I mean, that I wouldn't help? No. Even when I worked flat rate, I helped others. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, there's that money flying away helping this other guy. You know, what if you spend 2 hours helping that other guy, you know? And obviously that's a whole different issue. That would become a whole different issue. But it also changes the incentive from it also adds to the lack of incentive. It doesn't only apply to sharing. It also applies to the type of work that I would myself allow. You know, yeah, I'm a technician. I do have certain things that I could allow or not allow as a flat rate technician. What incentive do I have to go grab a car that has been through every shop in the near 10 miles and they couldn't figure it out and I got to go figure it out? What incentive do I have? Or how much are we charging for this? I mean, we're going to have to start with like 8 hours, you know, like obviously that's unrealistic, but what incentive do I have to go find the, you know, problem child of the neighborhood?
Yeah. You're almost penalized for trying to go for the hard one.
Exactly. You do get penalized for getting the tough ones.
Wow.
And then obviously the diehard fans will be like, oh, well, if you're really a good tech, you'll figure it out. No, that's not how it works. Yeah, I'll figure it out, but are you going to pay me for it? I mean, I used to work for a shop where it was like 1 hour max for no matter what the job was. It was a 1 hour max diag time towards my production.
It takes half an hour to just grab information. Like
if you want to do your homework, if you want to do your homework and
trying to prepare for that job, if it's a tricky one, you know, get some wiring diagrams ready, all that sort of stuff.
Description and operation. Let's say you take a Mercedes, it doesn't start. Well, and they don't have any tooling for it either. Oh, we want you to figure this out.
Here's a test light.
Here's a test light.
It's LED. It's a new one.
Some cracked stuff.
It's a new one in the shop. No, you get the good one, the LED one. Here's a new
Power
one.
Probe. It's a Power Probe.
Yeah, there you go. Here's a Power Probe 3.
That'll start it. Yeah.
Yeah. We've always done it this way. You know, it's just another car.
That's right.
But how much time does it take to find out the process in which, you know, you put the key in, you turn it to the first position, you turn it to the second position, what modules are involved? You know, I don't think enough people appreciate just how much we have to learn just to get a car cranking, you know? I remember when I didn't know anything about Mercedes and I was in a Euro shop and people thought that I knew everything about Mercedes and they would ask me, hey, how does this stuff work? This DAS system. And I'm like, man, I have no idea. I have to go look for it. I have to go look it up. And then I started looking it up. And I'm like, oh man, it is not that easy. And luckily it wasn't a car in front of me. It was somebody who was reaching out for help from me. I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I could be more of help, but I don't know. And I started looking it all up. But you can look it all up on your own time, but there's nothing like having that car right in front of your face and you can't get it off the bay until it's fixed.
Yeah.
And that's when it really counts. I mean, you got to really, you almost become like a very good, how can you say, researcher. You have to become an excellent researcher, know where to find the stuff, the information.
That's a job in itself, knowing where to find the information. Find it fast. You know, do you want to buy an hour or a day of manufacturer's time, or is it all data, auto data? Like Costa said, is right. You can sit down for half an hour finding the information, and then is it correct?
Exactly.
It's a great job, isn't it?
When Mercedes,
it is the best job in the world.
No.
I'm not being a douche. It's an awesome job. It just keeps you thinking all the time. You know, have I made the right call?
Oh, we read so much.
I'm barking up the wrong tree. It's brilliant.
Yeah. What if it's a software update? Those are the worst.
No, that fixes everything.
Used to say
that fixes everything.
No, I'm telling you, things are changing. People used to say it's never the software. I beg to differ.
It's a lot of the time the software.
Get the software out of the way first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're gonna hate me. So many people are gonna get on.
No, I agree with that.
Get the software out of the way.
See,
it's nasty.
I agree in one aspect, because let's take for Volkswagen, for example. There may be a software update, but you need to change your hardware. You need to change your EGR cooler. And what people do, they've got their fancy tool, and they're able to do it, and they're not replacing the hardware. They're not changing. They're not changing the modified
no
parts.
Updated parts.
That's where I think software updates are dangerous, because you need to make sure you've done the job properly. You need to have that manufacturer's information that guides you.
Even Jeff, that Hyundai that I had last week that I put up on the network was about had a Hyundai that would only have non-start issues in winter when it was cold. And that was a software update for the cold start, would overfuel during the winter months when it got to a certain temperature on the coolant temp, right? Wow. Only on the cold days. Software update. There was no, it was definitely fuel related, because you could smell the fuel raw coming out of the back, and it was overfueling. You'd go, and some mornings you'd crank it and it'd be no comp. You have to go, foot to the flooring, put it in flood mode, but you'd go to the car and crank it, and you sound like there was no compression.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's ball wash cylinders. How are we meant to know that? And Gil, one of the guys, and was like, this software update, go get it done. He went to the dealership and worked it all out, because we couldn't get access yet. But you would have thought that kind of an engine.
That's an excellent example, because how much time would you spend to prove to the customer, and it's a Hyundai, so it's gonna have lower end issues, right?
Yeah, it's probably no compression. That's about right. Yeah. That's sort of
you saw the special tool that they have for that? They have like lower main bearing play tool. They check the tool. They check the play by giving it pressure and vacuum, and then checking the play.
No, I haven't seen that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a thing here. There's
cool.
there's recalls about that stuff too. I think the 2-liter turbos, they have a special vacuum pressure tool that they put in each cylinder at top that center, and checking how much play is acceptable. You look at any book, and what 1/1000th of an inch is the tolerance. I don't know what the tolerance is for Hyundai.
A little bit of knock is okay. A little bit of knock is okay.
Yeah, it's acceptable. You're good to go. And that's the thing. They use the tool as a bailout card, because if it passes the test on the tool, it's not covered. You're going to have to wait, or, what have you. But anyway, that's an excellent example, because it's a software update. How would you know that? And imagine talking to the customer. The first step is a software update, and then we'll continue. And if it doesn't fix it, who's going to pay for it, right? It's a tough sale, but you know what? It's becoming the norm. These new cars, that is the norm, in my opinion. I had a car. Oh man! All right, I'll tell you a bad one. You guys talked about which car you come in the morning, you just want to throw up.
Here we go.
It's actually
Here we
very
go.
similar to
It's
this one. Yeah, it's
spicy.
an XJ. It was an XJ. Oh my goodness, where do I start? That thing would go into restricted performance once every 6 months, and I couldn't get it to act up many times. It kicked my ass so bad. We started like there was somebody else already in there. There was already somebody else trying to diagnose this thing. They had left a couple of connectors loose, the ECM connector loose, a couple of junction connectors loose. And I'm like, oh, this has to be it. But the fact that it doesn't act up for months, I had to keep releasing the vehicle.
Of course.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna test it for 6 months? I mean, who's gonna pay for that? So you find something, I would wiggle it, it would do the same exact thing. I'm like, oh, this is it. It would do it. Fix that or tighten up the connections and whatnot. It would continue doing it. Continue doing it. What fixed it? A software update. It hasn't been back since. A friggin' software update. Yeah. And you know what's funny? I'm not gonna mention the name, but there's the big name brand over here. There's a big name scan tool here. I had tried updating it already. I'm like, man, let's just see if this is a software issue. I used an aftermarket scan tool, and it programmed it to the latest software, right?
Yeah, right.
Logic. And I put the factory scan tool on there.
You see that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a bit of both.
It was a hybrid,
And I put the factory scan tool on there, and I go towards the calibration. I do a software update, and it shows the calibration number that's already in there, right? And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to tell me it's already up to date, right? And I already updated it, so it couldn't be this. I go to the software calibration number; it's completely blank. It can't identify what's in there. The car's running,
Wow.
and it just doesn't identify what's in there. The factory scan tool. So I used that to do the calibration, and hasn't been back ever. And he's a pretty good customer. He's a great customer, and he's pretty vocal about that. Like if it'll act up once, like in a week or two, he'll just say, "Oh, it acted up once, but I'm not gonna bring it in yet. I'll just wait till it gets worse or something like that." So far so good. Software update for the win, and not buy an aftermarket scan tool.
Yeah, there you go.
It sucks, but it really killed me because it was like it would act up once every 6 months, and then it became once a month, once every 3 months, once every couple of weeks. It's like, oh my goodness, this thing is brutal.
So tricky.
There's,
I guarantee
there's nothing
time,
worse.
Yeah.
Sorry, Costa. There's nothing worse when you've got a scan tool and it says the function's there, and you press a button, you think it's done. I mean, Costa knows all about this with scan tools. When he killed the Mercedes gearbox, but it's really annoying.
And a Mercedes.
Costa, he did. It was bad.
I've got trauma.
Costa nearly had hair like mine. He did it was a checking the oil level in this Mercedes, and all of a sudden it just sounded like
service.
It sounded like somebody dropped Mario's smoke machine. It just sounded like a load of nuts and bolts and things, and then it wouldn't go into drive, would it? Oh God!
And that was a very good, which I would expect it to be OE level aftermarket, but an OE level scan tool. I would have expected it to have that function available, and I don't know what it did. It definitely didn't check oil level, but that car, it was meant to be check oil level, made a weird noise, and it sounded like a transformer happening. And then no drive, no function. Sorry, can't clear code, can't do anything. To do an adaptation, had to clear the code, but won't let you clear the code. I'd already called within 5 minutes, because Jeff was with me. Within 5 minutes, I've already called my transmission guy. Hey, I've broken the gearbox. It's coming on a tow truck. He was like, what do you mean? You can't just break it by... No, the level's correct, but I just sort of double check with the scan tool. I've broken it. Something's happened, right? We put a very generic scan tool on there and did a calibration and it fixed it. So that was
wow. Yeah, miscalibrated or something. It kind of like wiped it out or something.
I'll tell you what it did do.
But it is Mercedes, though.
It did put poop in my pants. That's what it did do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if the customer's a waiter.
Oh yeah. No. To be fair, I told them, look, it was just a
I think she came back 3 times.
Well, yeah, because I told
Is it
her,
done yet?
Yeah, I told her 3 to 4 hours. I have it ready to go. Just a few minor things. She came back like 6 hours later. Is it ready yet? We're just finishing it up.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have good luck with waiters. I personally hate waiters. Yeah. Not the people, the fact that they exist, like somebody's watching you trying to diagnose.
Kind of like that. What are you doing? What's that?
So what's that? What's that right there?
Did you want a hand? Did you want a hand? I can help you. No.
Yeah. So you're not gonna get any discounts by standing there. It's brutal. I'm not a fan. I think I've gotten spoiled by being here. I'm in a separate building, so I'm to myself. I get to blast my music and play. My brother is my coworker, so it's pretty cool. But waiters, everything goes wrong when you have a waiter, in my opinion. Somebody did an oil change on a Jaguar, and then somehow the key wasn't working anymore, and we had to like do an immobilizer reset or something like that. And the customer's waiting. I don't think that we should cut it so close all the time.
Right.
No, that's that mentality. Oh, it's just a car. I think it's cutting it too close to the edge with these waiters and expecting everything to be perfect all the time. You could brick a BCM like this car happened. Whoever did whatever they did to it, you could brick a BCM by changing out the battery. Something happens with the voltage spikes or what have you, or they try to crank it with a low voltage already, and it'll corrupt those BCMs. And imagine you're just doing a battery job and it's a waiter, and it's it's not going to be any better regardless, but it's so much worse when the guy's there. It's like, hey, I just drove it in. How am I going to get home?
This happens a lot. BMWs and Minis for coming into workshops for a Globe, and they go out with no windows, no electric windows.
The footwell module.
Yeah.
There's a fix for that. Yeah.
It's quite bad, and never mind.
Yeah, a few shops. I know a few shops that's happened to, and it's always on the battery change.
Yeah,
and it's always like in the doorway as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, doing the drama for
blocking the shop. Just blocking the shop. Or if you try to crank it with low voltage, it'll kill those things.
Yeah, wow.
But I actually showed a video on how to fix that. If you,
I've seen it. I've seen it. You nearly made me spend a load of money. Thanks for that, Mario.
Well, there's other ways. There's cheaper ways. I mean, you get a different programmer and do it the other way. But
I'm going to message you after actually about that. But
Oh yeah,
that looks
send the file. I'll get it sorted.
Send the file.
Send the file. We're good.
So,
but how many people don't know that? That's another thing. Like, oh man, I could go on for days with Euros. Like what a huge difference there is between shops that know about this stuff and shops that don't know, and then they run into that and they're like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do? We just bricked the module. All we did was change the battery. It's a mess. That's why we need people to share and I'm not saying go crazy with sharing. I hope I'm not going crazy with sharing, but I do think that we need to share more, be better to each other as an industry. Stop being the dog eat dog mentality.
Times have changed.
It's good that this is now worldwide. I really think growing up and been in a shop in the UK, it was very much everyone was an arsehole. Everyone was shit. Every workshop had the worst mechanics in it. All that crap.
You went to where? They're garbage.
Mario, you didn't let Mario touch you, did you? God. Yeah. It was very much like that. Sort of in a few years ago, and in Australia, it's like the opposite. I really see good things in
Could be
Australia, and now I'm
That's
seeing
awesome.
the same in the US, and I even think back in the UK, people
We
are
are still
helping each
50
other out.
states. It varies.
Yeah.
It varies greatly. You never know, but we need more shops to get on in line. You know, the mom and pop shops that don't know, they're not connected. They're
Yeah.
probably not watching this stuff. Um, they're not gonna know any better. They're just gonna keep
They're in
doing
their
whatever
bubble.
they did.
They're in their bubble. They're
Like I
doing their
was.
thing.
I was in my
Yeah.
bubble until I got, until I went to a training event. That's where it actually started for me. You don't know any better until you go and see other
Yeah.
like-minded people. Then you
Yeah.
realize it's a bigger world than you think. But I think that's a big, like, to answer the way previous question, like, how do we start, changing the mentality? We need to expose people to this stuff. Like, go to training, start meeting other shop owners, start meeting other technicians, start networking. That's a great start towards everything.
Well,
That's
Costa,
our ethos.
should we go to Florida? Or should we have a networking event in
I think
Florida?
I think I actually Jeff. I think actually tagged you in it when he posted the event.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Fancy a flight. I know
Yeah,
you ignored me like always.
I did ignore you. Well, yeah, no, I was already talking to Mario about it behind your back anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I've already been. It came back.
Yeah. You can tell from your tan.
We had a great time. Oh dear.
That's awesome.
So
come to Florida anytime.
Careful what
we got Disney World.
Careful what you say.
Listen, we're not scared of little alligators. We've got big crocodiles here, mate. So we'll be there. Yeah.
There you go.
I think we can get a 16-hour flight from Sydney to
Jeff's
Dallas,
actually planned it.
and then Dallas to Florida. We could drive it.
Oh man,
we could just drive it.
That's huge. What's the what?
We could just drive it. It's something like going around the corner, isn't it?
That's brutal.
Jeff's got a diesel, so I mean we'll get there with great fuel economy.
I've got a transit.
Yeah.
That'll do it. That's a big flight, a big adventure. I'd feel like the pressure is so on. These guys are coming from Australia.
Yeah, but it's not like we're swimming there. We're going to sit down, obviously, in premium economy, and probably drink as much free alcohol as possible, and biscuits or crackers or whatever.
Get it over with those 16 hours. I would feel like I have to roll out the red carpet, man. That's such a huge thing, That's the thing about this networking thing. Like, you want to meet everybody.
Yeah.
You want to, talk to as many people as you can, and it's like we're all so everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's so tough. I wish it was an easy way to do it. This is the easy way, I guess. Like, got to take that. Count your blessings. Because how many people back in the early 90s, they couldn't even do something like this, like talk to someone halfway around the world. We got to take that.
Yeah. This is great, but there's something to be said about that face-to-face connection, though.
Mario's showing his lag now.
Oh, was that me or Mario? Okay, I thought I lagged.
No, I think it's Mario.
You're breaking up big time.
Oh, he bricked us. He bricked us.
Oh, no.
It has begun.
Oh, no.
That's it. My windows
I
aren't
should
working
probably get my
anymore.
Ethernet cable.
Yeah, you didn't have your battery
see me?
stabilizer on. Yeah, you're back.
It's on, man.
Yeah.
So, Costa, we'll have a
I'm
chat
actually
later
using
on
my
because
diet card for this.
Oh,
we're due a trip. We definitely do a trip.
no, I'm not scared.
So a question that I've got for you: if you could, if your God help it, never happens, but if your shop was on fire,
so if you
had
made
to
another
grab
smoke machine,
yeah, if it made another smoke machine, what tool would you grab?
What tool do I grab?
Yeah, if you've made a
car
smoke
keys.
machine,
I'm out of there.
He's got.
I don't know. Well, I care about the shop. I would hate to see it burn down. I would call it.
I know, hypothetically.
How about we word this
scenario.
in a way that doesn't involve someone's shop getting burned down?
Yeah,
Okay, well,
why does it have to be so catastrophic?
I know, it's so dark. So dark.
Am I
I
still
think
allowed
what he's
to-
trying
So
to
if I can
ask
only
is,
live
what's
with
your
one tool,
favorites?
Can
if I can only do my job with one tool, huh?
That's such a nice way to put it.
Yeah, but it's not the same, is
That's
it?
brutal.
I think what it was, we originally asked Sean Tipping, and because he
If your
obviously
car
keeps,
was on, I think you asked if your car was on fire.
yeah,
why are you
because it's,
burning the
it's
guys?
mobile. Yeah. So look, the fire thing, it's just stayed. We said the same thing to Scanadana. You know, you didn't get upset with me then.
Yeah. Well, you didn't burn your
God,
socks
why are
out,
you
though.
crying? What are you crying for? sorry, Mario.
My wife does that. She asks me these questions, like these crazy questions. Like, what if I
Yeah.
was drowning in the Lake Michigan? I'm like, what are you talking about? That's never gonna happen.
That question is like written down in our book of questions. Like,
Oh, man. I'm sorry, man. I didn't
We
mean to get on your
offended
case,
Mario. God, I wish I never asked now.
I'm sorry, dude.
So yes, if you could pick one tool to diagnose a car, what would it be?
One tool I would die with is
Diet, yeah.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know, because it's so tough. You need so many things just to do.
You see, that's why the
I
fire
guess it
thing
depends
works,
on the diag.
because you've got to be fast. You've got to pick it quick. You know, you're giving him too many options now.
It really depends on the diag. I mean, is it a crank no start, or is it a no comms with anything? I don't know. It's so hard to place that to answer that question.
I think I know what it is.
The scope, huh?
No, you're autologic. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
I'll throw it into the fire.
Mario's getting sued.
Oh, man.
Thanks for the invite to the podcast. I've just been served.
Oh man, it was a pleasure, guys.
That was such a quick answer. Oh, that was excellent.
No, man, I would not grab that thing. I don't know what I would grab. I really like my IM608. The Autel IM608 is awesome. But I have another tool now that is like really pushing it. The top down max. It's been awesome too. But I think the Autel IM608, it's you don't forget your first times, right? That's a terrible analogy.
bloody long time ago.
the Autel was my first scan tool, so my first that I bought. I mean, and it was not cheap, and you can't help but remember that. Like, I did a lot of research before buying it, and it has a special meaning to me. It's weird as it sounds. You would think not, but like it has a kind of like a special place for me, because it got me. It opened the doors not only like to the big bidirectional stuff and the all that stuff, but also the immobilizer stuff, the keys, the EEPROM stuff. It like opened up so much more for me, which I don't know what it would have taken to get into that stuff if it wasn't for that. If that makes any sense, it's
absolutely.
I think it would be the IM608, because it got me so like just having the tool and learning its capabilities got me. It became a gateway towards all kinds of other things, and it's a very capable tool. It does a lot, and no, there's no scope in there. I love my scopes and all that, but if I only had one tool, it would be that one. Yeah,
Good
it
choice.
would be that one.
Good choice.
Yeah.
I'm
not sponsored by Autel. They're not like telling me to say this or anything.
Yeah,
on the bottom,
just so you know.
on the bottom, you see it come across the screen.
Yeah,
yeah, sponsored by.
You just mentioned Top Don, and I actually recently it landed. I think 2 days ago. I sent Costa a picture of it, but I actually bought it from Sean Tipping. But yeah, I bought a Top Don to try. I've always been
really
a bit
good. I haven't actually seen one before. It looks good though.
Yeah.
Which one did you get?
A Phoenix Smart.
Oh, the Smart, yeah.
So, but
I hear great things about that one too.
And I also got the key tool as well, the Ninja thing.
I
haven't done anything with that, but I want the programmer as well. I'm definitely short on. I could definitely add a bench programmer So I might try that as well. But yeah,
the Ninja
I've
Box
spent
is
some
a
money.
programmer.
Yeah, so there's one which is like a handheld key tool, a 1000, I think it's called. I've not got it here. It's in the other room. And then there's like a bench programmer, that you can house chips and power PCUs on the bench and things like that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you won't know until you get into it, and you're gonna have to bother all your friends.
Mario,
into it.
Mario, I'm just in Florida.
I've got my top on with me.
Got all my stuff with me. No, I've done some
great
bench stuff before with tuning
nice.
equipment and ECU cloning and things like that, which is but yeah, just something else. I'd like something else. The chip tuning tools are okay to a degree, but yeah, I'd like to do a bit more and learn a bit more at the same times.
Yeah, it really depends on what your needs are. Like, is it for cloning? Is it for mobilizer stuff? Is it for adapting used modules, or
it's all of the above, isn't it? It's what needs to be done.
In the end, it ends up being that.
Yeah.
The needs arise, and then you see, oh man, I can't just clone this. This is not going to work because, well, the old one doesn't work. So now I need to adapt a new one, or do I need to reset a used one, or adapt a used one by modifying something, making the card think that it's a new one. So it's not just a cut and dry. Oh, I'm just going to clone modules. I'll be good. It's not like that, because
I've learned this, like DSG controllers, certain Volkswagen control units. I thought I was pretty much covered, and I've had my ass kicked a few times. So that's just not happening anymore. Hopefully,
it happens. Yeah, I mean, all of them. For me, I learned the hard way. I learned everything the hard way. So. That's the only way I can learn those things.
You know exactly what you're missing when you actually need
it. Yeah. When it's really broken, it's like, I'm not doing that again. Put a hand up.
Or, I mean, you're tempted to every time a tool updates. So you wonder if they updated it and now you can do it with that tool. So then you got to spend all that time doing it just to find out, oh, well, it still doesn't do it. That's the thing about those. Yeah, it can be time consuming, but once it's in your best interest to write this stuff down. What did it, what tool got the job done? What process did you take? I make the mistake of trying to keep that all in my head, and it's not good. You got to write that stuff down, refer to it later, because once you start adding up those tools, once you have like 6 programmers or something like that, you're going to want to know which one did it, because you will spend all that time going through each one until you hit the jackpot.
Yeah,
that's the only way.
That's a good point. That's actually a good point as well. Actually,
we'll send you a Garage Network Righty Downey Mario book.
There you go. Right on.
Do you call it a Righty Downey book?
Righty Downey book. Well, yeah, because I rarely write things down, especially important stuff.
Yeah. Like my birthday, Mario's birthday. You got to make sure you write it all down.
We're going to Florida for Mario's birthday.
That's right. We are. Yeah.
Oh, so next year then?
Too far away.
No. I want to do it before Christmas.
That's a good time to come, because it's so hot out here that wintertime is the best time to be in Florida. I'll tell you that much. And it's not raining so much. Like, it rains a lot down here, more than people know.
Really?
Yeah. During the summertime.
Well, I'm thinking it's tropical beautifulness. Yeah.
It sounds like Sydney. Yeah. All it's done in the last 3 years in Sydney, it's been 40 degrees and raining. Obviously in the summertime, but
yeah, summertime here we get a lot of rain, and we might get like a week of winter.
Right.
Spread out like across different days. You get a day over here, you get a day over there, and that's not even winter for you guys. Like, it doesn't even get 40 degrees. Yeah, You're lucky if you get like 40 degrees.
Yeah, right.
That's
No,
Florida.
we get those days. We get those days.
It's awful. It's absolutely awful. You
What
open
are
your
you,
van
Sydney?
door, you open your beautiful air conditioning van door, and it's like you've opened an oven door in your kitchen. You know, you just get this waft of heat. You
Yeah,
can't
but
breathe.
to be fair,
Oh.
you're from the UK, so you're used to like your summer's like 8 degrees.
Yeah, it just makes me laugh when these guys, they've got
And we
Milwaukee
talk
jackets with the
Celsius, Mo, by
heaters
the
in
way.
it. And I'm like, mate, it's not even cold. There's no ice on your tools. What's wrong with you people? You need to go and spend a couple of years in the UK and see what cold is.
Yeah, a lot of people like the cold. I like to think that I do because I was born and raised here in Florida. But then, yeah, it's not that easy. And
Everyone,
Florida.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Everyone likes the cold till they go into the cold, and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh wait a minute, this is cold.
This was a mistake.
With the cold,
What have I done?
you can add layers in the cold. You can't take layers off in the heat.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
you
gonna
can.
sweat.
Well, you can, but you'll be back in prison again, Costa.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Not again. This guy.
Damn it.
Right, in pillars on D-wing.
Public indecency again.
Yeah. Yeah. Repeat offender.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, this
Yeah.
is going downhill fast.
Yeah, I know.
If you ever want to come to Australia, Mario, let us know.
Oh.
We will make that happen.
Oh yeah, we'll roll the red
Awesome.
carpet. Absolutely.
I would love to go out there. That 16-hour flight, though. That's
No,
like I
no,
said. Huh?
That's just from Dallas.
Oh man.
So how
Like I
far is
said-
it to Dallas? From
Yeah, I have.
Florida?
Yeah, it's about 2 hours. I have unattended back injuries. Remember, so
Yeah, right.
for me to sit 16 hours, I mean, it's brutal.
It's a tough flight. It's a tough flight. You
Yeah.
know. And they've got
I can imagine.
direct.
I would love to.
They've got non-direct as well, but you can go through certain countries to get here as well, or vice versa. But yeah, it's a tough flight.
I think it's
That'd
one
be
of
awesome.
the longest. It was one of the longest individual flights, Sydney to Dallas.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's not too bad. It wasn't
But
too bad.
you can land on the west coast and then make your way across. You don't have to go straight to Dallas.
Yeah, go and have a
That'd be
couple
awesome.
of a day in Perth and then a week in Sydney, where all the cool kids are.
There you go. I gotta get my passport ready, man.
Well, we've got this is like a verbal agreement anyway. We've got it recorded and so,
Yeah.
There you go. It's a handshake. It's a gentleman's agreement.
and if not, I'm going to send it to Autologic.
Oh snap!
Oh no.
No,
Don't
it's
do
it's
that.
all a bit of a giggle. We all love Autologic, really.
Yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, they do stuff that other cantos can't.
Yeah.
Simply just cannot. Even the top down, the tell all of them. But
It was massive in Australia when I moved here.
Really?
Everyone loved it, and it was once upon a time massive in the UK, and then everyone didn't love it overnight.
wow, yeah, it was a huge hit year because the support was second to none. But then they started hiring so many people, and then they went around with this campaign about you don't need to hire ATEX anymore. You've got us, and it's just turned into this whole other thing. And then they got bought out. Like it became from Opus to IVS 360, and it's just like this giant mutt now. It's it's a mixed breed of like a bunch of.
So did he call it a giant mutt?
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even what it originally was. So you lose things like that when you start becoming like this whole other company. They lost a lot of the quality that was the original, wow factor that brought everyone on to begin with. And the tool itself started falling off too, because everyone else is starting to catch up. And
That's the thing as well. I think back then they were like the only guys doing certain things, where now a lot of these other sort of entry level scantors, they've really upped their game. They've upped their game.
yeah, I like that too, because like all these companies are just like battling it out, trying to keep up, trying to stay on top. I love that. You know, it benefits us.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We're the end user in this situation, so we win. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I'm not a huge fan of Autologic anymore. I don't know if
maybe if you do see this, maybe they can take something out of it and change it. You know, there's nothing.
I don't know. Everyone's been making it pretty obvious to them. Like,
so I just don't want to get sued. That's all. I'm just trying to cover all our backs. But
doing the mandatory politically
correct. If they need to up the game, they need to up the game because people talk, people network, and that costs money. So,
it's feedback. It's feedback.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, there's no shortage of that.
straight on the fire again.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well,
you're probably getting close to home time, right? What's the time now for you guys? It'd be getting
7:45 p.m. over here. What time is it over there? 10?
We're almost 10 a.m. Yeah. We better let you get home and do daddy duties.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, really appreciate your time, Mario.
Just closing up. Thank you, guys. This was nice. Looking forward to some more in the future.
Absolutely.
And,
red carpet for when we come to Florida as well.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, we'll excellent. Done. Awesome, man. Thanks for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
You too. Cheers, Mario.
Bye.
Cheers. Take care.
Bye.